qualifying coming up for the final weekend of GT World Challenge Asia for 2025, and we are at a brand new street circuit in Beijing. Welcome along to Tongming Lake Park and E-Town, where we're about to get 24 GT3 cars in anger around this fast and wide street track. A little bit colder than it was earlier on today during our practice sessions. The cloud cover has once again come in, and that will present challenges to our teams that are already struggling with just 10 degrees air temperature. It's all right for the locals, they're quite used to this as we go to the second half of October and into winter here in the northern part of China. But for our Pirelli tyres and for our cars that are sometimes used to dealing with 40 degrees air temperature and plus 50 degrees track temperature, it is providing a real challenge, especially a brand new circuit that nobody knows very well. They are still desperately trying to learn what is best. We are to the south of Beijing, and cars are already lined up to go towards the fast lane for qualifying number one. These are your championship leaders. They have a 14-point advantage over the rest of the field, but they will be given a 10-place grid penalty in this qualifying session after an indiscretion in the previous event. Bob Wan and Liu Yi could make it two-time champions this weekend, our reigning champions from last year, with a championship lead, but with that penalty for causing a collision at the start of race one in Okayama. The circuit is wide. The circuit is long at 5 kilometers or just under in length. We shouldn't have too many issues when it comes to traffic. In those forested areas there in the middle of shot is the paddock area. This Tongming Lake Park, a wetland reserve for birds, and then around the area, a quickly emerging E-Town, the center of technology being promoted, with already many companies adopting these mammoth high-rise buildings. And a good 30,000 fans expected on race day tomorrow. Many of them already here battling the cold conditions. Just 16 degrees track temperature. It was 21 in pre-qualifying earlier on today. We are getting ready for qualifying number one here in Beijing. 16.7 degrees track temperature, 11 degrees air temperature. As I say, blue sky, and when the sun does come out, it is warm, and it has a huge effect on this dark FIA grade tarmac. But unfortunately, it isn't sunny at the moment. As mentioned, 4.9 kilometers in length, 12 turns, fast down to intermediate number one, then a slightly more mid-speed section of 3 left-hand turns, sorry, before going back around the park, and a very nadgery chicane at 9, 10 and 11. Turn 12 exits over a bridge where there's a big old bump, the join between tarmacs. That bump also exists. The braking zone into turn number one as well. Green flag then at the end of pit lane. A 15-minute session. We have all of our AM drivers out on circuit. If you are in a Silver AM or Pro AM lineup, and of course if you're an AM lineup, but we do also have silver entries, which are the ones to watch out for. 5 in total. So 1 extra over most of this year. And they are the ones likely to challenge for top spot in this first qualifying session. That also compounds that 10-place grid penalty for Bob Wan, because as an amateur driver, he's going to struggle to get himself into the top 5 with the silvers ahead of him, in theory. But let us see. Watch out for the 500 of Hirobon in the Nissan. Your silver entries for the first part of qualifying then. Frankie Cheng, local man to Beijing in the 45. Jiatong Yang, also local to Beijing in the 77. And then we have Rio in the number 16 that has barely turned any laps. The pink car just shot there with a gearbox problem in pre-qualifying. They changed the gearbox during the session and were able to get out a couple of shakedown laps. All good with that car now. We also have the 96 of Deng Yi, second in silver, 16 points off the back. And then 3-2-1 of Azam, the new driver in that car. Let's go on board with Bob Wan then for a first flying lap around this circuit. Be careful of the bumps through turn 1. It widens on the exit from 10 meters out to 20 meters, and a flat out blast down through turn number 2 and into the braking zone of 3, which is also turning at the same time. Try and use as much of the track as possible as it narrows slightly and then widens again. Now back into turn number 5, a little bit of locking, you could hear chattering over the bumps. Through turn 6 with the Hilton Hotel on the left-hand side. And then onto turn number 7, back onto Kigur Road, where it widens and we go back onto the 4-lane carriageway, which becomes, through turn 8, this fast left-hander, Tonghu Main Road. This is where a chicane has been placed to slow the cars down. It is fiddly. It will be a no overtaking zone in racing conditions. And then out towards the final turn of the lap. Turn 12, bumpy on exit. Bob Wan backing off as he comes towards that final turn. The car has been in the walls already. You can see from a change of front end, there's tape on the rear left corner of the car where it's scuffed a barrier. And they were working on the tracking of that car just 15 minutes ago. Just double-checking everything. Crucial for Origin Motorsport, who have already won the team's title, and now full focus on trying to get their drivers a double championship. They also, on the other side of the garage, have the interests of Lu Wei to think about. Both Porsches in contention. First flying lap, 1:52.4. That is a long way away from the pace that we're expecting for these guys. 46s perhaps, maybe 45s for the AM drivers. 43s for the pros. And so that really was a shakedown lap. Got everybody out on circuit, just double check that. 24 cars are showing on the timing screen, some a little later than others. Crucial session for car 45. Frankie Cheng and James Yu Kwai leading the silver category by 16 seconds, but also the only silver pairing to be in with overall contention opportunity. And this is their main opportunity to get a good result. Bob Wan's going to have a bit of traffic here, perhaps. There's that horrible bump on the exit of turn 12. Actually, Bob's got himself a Corvette for a slipstream as he goes fastest at the moment, but it's a 48.7, so we still have more opportunities. The track temperature, only 16 degrees. Guys are struggling to get tyre temperature into their cars. The Porsches come on better and quicker than the likes of the Mercedes, for instance, that does take a bit longer to get up to temperature. Flashing the lights through the shop comes Jai Tong Yang. And here is 96, Andy Dunn. It's him that is 16 points back from Frankie Cheng and James Yu Kwai. Not in contention for the overall, but in terms of the silver category, has an opportunity. And this car has been really, really fast in the second half of the season with this new pairing of Andy Dunn and Lu Kai Lu. Taking victory last time out in race 1 in Okayama. They also got second in Chang in Buriram. Race 1 is their real opportunity. Ferrari did look good. Harmony Racing were fastest in the paid test session yesterday under lower grip conditions. And look at this, 1 second better than Bob Wan's time, but the 46 is ahead. Xinglong Bao, who will be on a lap, and so won't want to get out of the way through this horribly tight chicane. Exit's okay, but surely Deng Yi here is going to be caught up going through the final turn. Chen Kongfu, Frankie Cheng just ahead of them. He comes to the line, 4th at the moment, goes fastest. Waiting for the Ferrari to come across the line, tucked up behind the Audi, does get a bit of a slipstream and does go faster, but was slower in the final sector than Frankie Cheng. Half the session has gone. Silver fastest, Silver second. And those are the real 2 silvers that we expect to be fighting for the pole position. Nazim Azman in the 321, brand new to the car this weekend, brand new to the championship, and therefore unlikely really to be able to show. And the Audi of Rio with not so many laps under their belt. Here's Ron Huang, AM category driver in the Lamborghini. Akash Nandi, his teammate, very strong in the pre-qualifying session, and actually this is a great lap from Ron. Up there with the fastest. On board in the left-hand corner with Frankie Cheng in the 45. A little bit nervous that Lamborghini looks into turn number 12, over that big bump and towards the line. Maybe may have lost a little bit of time in that final sector of the lap. It's still super tight, 0.03 of a second separating Andy Deng and Ron Huang at the head of the field. That's a great lap from an AM driver and proves that there's still pace in the track. Bob Wang goes fastest. Half a second better than anybody else as Frankie Cheng now comes to the line. It's a slower lap time by Cheng, who lives here in Beijing. The most experienced man in GT World Challenge Asia at 41 years of age. As we said earlier, also raced on the street circuit that was built for A1GP, which was 19 years ago. And super hyped to have a racetrack on his doorstep. All his family and friends here this weekend. Looking at the 19 car of Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim in championship contention as well. But Corvette not really showing particularly strong pace so far in the sessions. And that last lap time only good enough for 15th spot for Prince Jeffrey. Got Ben Green alongside him. Is his brother Prince Abu Bakr down in 22nd position, 6 seconds off Bob Wan's pace. Here's Ron going at it again. Using all the track and more as Bob Wan sets a purple middle sector. Huang up to 2nd position. We've got 2 AM drivers at the head of the field right now. Lamborghini looking brilliant as Bob Wan improves the target further. A 45.8 is a whole second faster than anybody else. What have they done to that Porsche? A lot of people saying this is going to be a Porsche track, that the Porsches can get their tyres up to temperature quicker than the rest of the field, and that matters in this qualifying session. But to be fair, it's only Bob that's doing the business. Anthony Liu up to 4th position in his Porsche, but it's Audi 2nd, Lamborghini 3rd. And now Andy Dang goes over the line and sets fastest. It's just getting faster and faster, this track. As the temperature improves in the car, on the tyre, and maybe even in the confidence of the drivers. Andy Dunk, just 0.2 of a second ahead of Bob Wan. Frankie Cheng, 0.7 of a second back. And then Ron Huang, 1.2 back in 4th position. He's had a slow lap. He's got 2.5 minutes remaining, so he can take a breather here and then go again. It was purple in the 1st sector from Huang, so I wonder whether he made a mistake in the middle sector of the lap. Here's Andy Dung in the middle part. And he is slightly better through the 1st sector than he's been before, but not as good as Huang was last time. I have to say, the silver battle in Silver Am, they're going to have to be really concerned about the Lamborghini, because you've got Ran Chun Fan in 10th position, Hirobon is 11th, but Huang is fighting with the very best of them up here. One and a half minutes remaining then. Still so many green 1st and 2nd sectors. Hard to know where to look. Wei Lu in the number 4, sitting in 2nd in the championship. 8th position right now. Don't forget that Bob Wan in the 87 is going to get a 10-place grid penalty. So right now would go down to 12th position. Here is Ran Chun Fan. And that's a really good 1st sector, 0.024 off Andy Dung. The middle part of the lap is where it really matters, though. These fiddly left-hand turns. Now he blasts back out onto Kigur Road. And 0.7 of a second back now. And it is so tight. Well, it's so tight at the top, but that would actually put him in 4th position. The Harmony Racing of Zhang Yaiqi has got himself up to 4th spot. That had problems in the previous session, so they're really down on running. But that's a great time from the 55 Zhang Yaiqi, who we saw at the start of the season in the Mercedes. BMW coming towards the line now, and only goes in 9th position. Bob Wan back up to the top spot. 5 seconds remaining in the session. Last lap efforts for many of these drivers now. There is the 55 Ferrari. He's going to improve again here, and he's following Anthony Liu, so we're going to see improvements from both of these 2 cars as they come towards the line. Liu to 5th, Zhang to 3rd. Wow, great stuff from Harmony Racing. Here's Andy Dung, 2nd position, but these 2 sectors on this lap not good enough, and he pulls into the pits. It will not be a fastest time in qualifying, but it could still be pole position, because the fastest man in qualifying at the moment is only is getting a 10-place grid penalty. Here comes Asman, up to 5th. Great effort from the new silver driver in the 3-2-1. Bob Wan is going again. He doesn't need to, but he has a green first sector. He has the provisional fastest time. Here's Tao Che in the Mercedes. He's down with Bamboo earlier on, and they were really hyped about his pace, but unfortunately for Tao Chi, that's only 15th position. 2.3 seconds back off Bob Wan. Wan is going again. Wan is going to go even faster here unless he gets held up by that BMW. Through the final turn, just to stamp his authority on he is the best in qualifying one for this season. It won't be a pole position, but it will be the fastest time in qualifying for Bob Wan. A 45.571. And that will at least give great confidence to this team moving into qualifying number 2. Wei Lu in 11th spot, and therefore it will be Lu Wei and Bob Wan on row number 6. There is the car that will inherit the pole position. A 10th second faster, but that is a great day for Win Here Harmony Racing, isn't it? Because Andy Dung in 2nd and Zhang Yaqi in 3rd position. Pole position for Amac in AM. For Absolute Corsa, the silver AM Lamborghini flying. And in silver, it is our pole car, the 96, with Origin dropping back. So they have the fastest time, Origin, but they will drop down to 11th position, making it an all Win Here Harmony front row tomorrow. Then Absolute Corsa and Absolute Racing on row 2. That's the best qualifying result for the 3-2-1. And the first of our championship challenges then is Phantom Global Racing and Anthony Liu, alongside the 3rd best silver of Frankie Chen. Nissan in 8th, Uno Racing 9th, and then the Origin Motorsports of Wei Lu. Maybe disappointed by that, BMW 12th. Amac will Ben Porter 13th. That's a great qualifying for Ben, as we come to expect from him. And there'll be massive disappointment in Chevrolet camp, 17th and 18th for those two. 911 of Wang Zhongwei down in 21st position in their Porsche. We'll see Patrick Pilet at the sharp end of the field in that car. But they only managed 21st, and the GTO Racing team managed 19th. And it was Nico Menzel who was fastest in our pre-qualifying session. So we're going to have some cars that are going to start quite low down in the order in race number 1, but could well be in the sharp end at race number 2. Into the pits comes the 87 of Origin Motorsport, of Bob Wan, with the fastest time. They've known for a while they're going to have that penalty. See how the driver flicks that button on the right-hand side, and the steering wheel in the Porsche resets back to 0. Then Liu Ye will get back in and bring it into his position. A little bit of advice there from Bob Wan. They've been racing with each other for a couple of years now. We've seen Bob in various European races, including the Spa 24 Hours. And he should be very happy with that. That will settle the nerves. Whatever work they were doing just 10 minutes before the session has paid off. And they've got a car that is capable of pole. Now, Liu Ye, can he do wonders for race 2? Because race 2, they don't have a penalty. There's the smile on Bob's face. He got up to speed in that car quickly. And it took a long time for the others to get back. Now, I see the cap being presented to Bob. He is fastest in qualifying, but remember that 10th-place grid penalty. He will not be on pole position. I suppose he wins the Rover Pole Award, though, doesn't he? Quick look from the drone over the grid of cars in the fast lane. Lake to the left, lake to the right. A lot of greenery around this particular area of Beijing. We are south of the capital, the center of the city. There's the AM driver of Liam Talbot, who is new to this particular GT World Challenge, but is a mainstay and multiple champion in Australia. And he is new to that Mercedes. Let's go down to Bob Wan.
With the man who did a fantastic job. Congratulations, Bob. You've just put your name into the history book of the very first Beijing street circuit. How do you feel? Tell us about the flying lap.
First of all, thank you. Beijing track, I think I'm getting there quite a lot right now. Some tricky corner like triple left. I'm getting some feeling. I'm pushed by myself, and yeah, I think the team gives a really good car. The engineer gives a really good setup. So I think I put a little bit together. So today is good luck.
Fantastic job.
Green flag at the end of pit lane. Cars heading out onto circuit. And just a reminder, we now have 10 pro drivers from the Pro-Am category. We have 10 silvers from Silver and Silver Am, and there are also 4 Am drivers out there in the field as well. This to set the grid for race 2. Unusually for GT World Challenge Asia, both races will be taking place on Sunday, so this will be setting the grid for the afternoon race. Got to watch out for big star pro drivers. Patrick Pilet, for instance, who was so very fast, and they got their podium finally last time out in the 911 machine. Watch out for Nico Menzel. He's very fast in the number 10 in practice. Liu Ye in the 87. By far one of our real GT World Challenge Asia stars. Hold his own against the international best. What are we seeing here? So Liu Ye coming out the pits. He's got a Mercedes in front of him. Oh dear. That was Reinhold Renger, who is sort of the pro in that car, even though that's an all-AM lineup. He's an AM due to the age categorization rather than his experience level. But shows how cold tyres are quite tricky. Side by side, quite sure why we are racing each other. That, I think, is Nico Menzel in the number 10 I just mentioned. One thing that is categorizing for the moment is the concrete in the pit garages is still dirty from the construction of the pit lane. And the pit lane itself is very dirty, not just from the concrete, but also from the mud that we had from the construction, and then also from the rain yesterday. And so when you're trundling down the pit lane, you're picking up a lot of dirt, and it's taking a while to clean those tyres off. So it's taking a few laps to get up to temperature, but it's also taking a few laps to clean tyres. All in all, a bit of a challenge. Anders Forbach, owner of High Class Racing, racing for Origin Motorsport here alongside Kierong Lee. Has years and years of experience in GT cars and racing many a street circuit in America as well as globally. And has already reported just how much he loves this place. A proper racetrack. Wide enough to overtake, some fast corners such as that turn 8 there. And he is first in the queue. So nice clear track ahead of him for the moment. You've got to drive these cars hard in these early laps, even if they feel horrible, even if you're not getting the grip from the front and rear end. The more you push them, the more you use lose the tyre, the more that tyre will then give back and get temperature. Only 15 degrees now, the track temperature. It's barely better than it was in the rain yesterday. Cloudy, 11 degrees air temperature. Straight away into the 47s. Remember, the AM drivers, their first lap was a 55, and they got down to 45s by the end. Well, 4 back already in the 47s. We've got the likes of Dorian Boccolacci yet to start a lap with purple sectors. Here's Bastien Bus. Took his first victory in GT World Challenge Asia on his 13th attempt. 2 podiums last weekend in Okayama to really reignite their championship challenge. That car was championship leader going into last year's finale and ended up losing out to teammates Bob Wan and Liu Ye. It's role reversal this year as they are the championship chasers, but for much of the year you got the feeling that they really weren't in it. Picarello taking a victory with Liu Wei in Mandalika, and a couple of other podiums. But finally, Bastien, who's in the car now, getting his first victory. Something that Dorian Boccolacci still cannot say. Purple sectors coming from Liu Ye, from Yifei Ye. Ye Yifei, of course, our 24 Hours of Le Mans winner from 2025. As I said a little bit earlier on, probably the second most famous Chinese driver in motorsport right now. So great to have him in the 55 car that goes fastest for the moment. And will be on the front row of the grid for race 1, thanks to Zhang Yaiqi. Now there is Liu Ye, and he's finding himself some space right now. He did set a purple sector in the middle part of the lap, but then backed off, and now he's going to go again. So no time yet from the 87. Waiting for Boccolacci to finish the lap. He comes through the shot there, and it should be a good one for the Frenchman. It's his first effort, and he goes fastest, and with a little bit of traffic potentially in the final couple of corners. That's great news for Anthony Liu, his best qualifier from our championship challenges in qualifying number 1. Now Boccolacci with an AM Ferrari ahead of him. Who is in that one for this session? I think it's Christian Colombo. Yes, it is. So the Ferrari FX coach, classed as an AM driver, but with massive experience. And he gets out the way of Dorian, but look how much time Dorian Boccolacci loses in that first sector to his previous effort. Ben Green in the 99 Corvette. He's on course, actually, isn't he? So Corvette's not looking strong in qualifying number 1, but Ben Green's potentially in touch in qualifying 2, although he's backed out of it coming to the chicane. So it's going to go again. I wonder whether there was traffic. Couldn't have been traffic, actually, because we were following him, weren't we? Either way, Boccolacci's not going to get a lap this time. Too much compromise through turn number 1, so he'll be winding it up again for the next lap. Ben Green compromised in sector 2. A little bit different, isn't it, this qualifying session to the AM session where they just build and build and build. The pros know that they can do it as long as they've got a car underneath them. And if they haven't got a car underneath them, they will back out of it. They won't push hard. Boccolacci knew from pretty much the first corner that this wasn't going to be a lap. So now trying to find himself space. Joel Eriksson, the Swedish driver, recently announced as a Formula E driver for Envision Racing, for next season. Race back with Phantom Global Racing and an Audi for this weekend, rather than the Porsche that we've previously seen him in GT World Challenge, taking over from Marcus Finkelhock in the 46th for the final round, and looking strong, up in third position right now, 2 green sectors, and that's only because Bastien Bus, just ahead of him, is a purple sector, so this is a fast train, these two. Over that bump on the last corner, so tricky. You're knowing that the car is going to slightly step out on you. Bus fastest, Ericsson second fastest on that last attempt. We've still got 6 minutes remaining. Where's the next time coming from? Nobody going purple for the moment. Bus, Ericsson, Boccolacci, Anders Forback still up there in 6th position now, because we've just had 2 improvements from Lukai Lu and Ye Yifei. The 2 Ferraris must be running together on circuit. The Harmony guys front row in race 1, and they will be at the moment row 2 and race 2. Did anybody see the Ferraris coming? Alexander Sims back in the 66 Corvette this weekend, rocking a marvelous mullet is Alex. Now the 66 is not a championship challenger, and Alex must have backed out in the final corners because he doesn't improve as Boccolacci comes over the line and up to 2nd position. Watch out for Lukai Lu though. That silver driver has a purple sector in sector 1, unbelievably, against 10 pro drivers. We're talking about a silver, and that's also why, look at this, he's the 2nd car in this train, but the first car is his very fast teammate Ye Yifei. So the 2 Harmony Ferraris running together here, and how much of that, I wonder, in the first sector is slipstream, because the first sector effectively is turn 1 and then a really long straight. But he's still on it because the middle sector's good from Lukai Lu. It's better than Ye Yifei ahead of him. He won't be being held up by Ye Yifei, surely, unless Ye decides to back out of it into the final turn to prepare himself. He doesn't, and they both skip super close to that barrier on the right-hand side. Bus is in the pits, Ericsson's in the pits, Lukai Lu comes up to 3rd position, Ye Yifei stays in 5th, and I wonder whether we are pretty much there. Check this out through the penultimate turn. Did they have to back out of it? Wow! Oh, the wing got it. The wing mirror did touch the barrier there. It stayed on, but that is spectacular from Lukai Lu. I'm not sure he could repeat that again. Boccolacci in touch. Bastien Bus is in the pits. Boccolacci exits the final turn. Nico Menzel's now stolen the pole position. Boccolacci must have had to get out of it into the chicane because he's lost 0.6 of a second in the final sector. Now, is that why Bastien Bus is in the pits? Feeling as though he might have touched a wall on the right rear corner. He's lost the pole position, but they're going to send him back out with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Joel Eriksson is also in the pit lane. Ferraris going again. Ye Yifei faster than he was in the first sector. Lukai Lu a little bit slower, but better in the middle sector for Lukai Lu and Ye Yifei. There was nothing separating the top 3 cars in our pre-qualifying session, and it looks like that same thing is going to happen here. Through the final turn, a little bit more respect given to the tyre barrier this time from Lukai Lu. And to the line, Ye Yifei in 3rd, but Lukai Lu again faster. Menzel holds on to the pole position. No, he doesn't, because Patrick Pilet, under the camera shot, has just gone fastest by 0.5 of a second over Nico Menzel, who comes through shot there. Boccolacci, though, fastest in the middle sector again. Boccolacci needs to tidy up this final sector, where he was slow on the last lap. There's Nico Menzel. He may improve Nico Menzel. Oh, he hits the wall on the final turn. It's okay, though, but it might not be enough in terms of time. He He's slower in the final sector, and Boccolacci does it just behind. Boccolacci on pole as Nico Menzel makes this little error. Touches the wall. It could bend the suspension a little bit. And just as we were watching the replay, Boccolacci gets the pole position by 0.2 of a second as well. I think he was loving the slipstream from Nico Menzel, I imagine. So it's Boccolacci from Pilet from Menzel. Pilet and Menzel are two guys we have hardly seen all year, as Bastien Bus has pulled off in a turn 8 there, so that I would assume is an issue on the car. And that is not great for the championship challenge of Wei-Lu, because he's down in 8th position with all of these drivers improving. Now, no yellow flag covering him, so everyone's okay to keep on pushing. Here are those two Ferraris that have been bumped down to 4th and 5th now. It's amazing, isn't it? That last turn, how they're continuing to just push, but the time's starting to go away from them. One more opportunity with the 15 seconds remaining on the clock. They're going to push Bastien Bus out the way, but that is disastrous news for Origin. Oh, Alexander Sims losing the rear end of the Corvette under braking into the chicane. And Ben Green, his teammates, just pop up into 2nd position. Where did that come from? Lights flashing from Andrew McPherson, who gets right in the way of Leo Yi. Leo Yi, where is it? Leo Yi qualified, only 13th, and also gets compromised on that final effort. And so no improvement from Leo Yi, no improvement from Alexander Sims, who stays in 8th position. Nico Menzel was also compromised there, so he stays in 6th position. Ben Green, though, is on a purple first sector. Could we see an improvement from this car, the 99? Shares with Prince Jeffrey. Wasn't even supposed to be in this car this year. Got brought in to replace Alexander Sims because Sims had a prior engagement and has stayed in that car all year because he was being mega. And he's continuing to be mega. Out onto the back straight. He's 2.5 tenths up in the first sector. He's absolutely leaving everything to the table, but there's a car right on the apex. I'm sure there was under turn 8. It was Boccolacci that was going slowly. Probably got out of the way, but was that enough of a compromise? Oh, Ben Green deep into the chicane. He's lost 1/10 of a second in the middle sector of the lap, but he's still possibly up a little bit as Pilet comes towards the line from 4th position and moves up to 3rd. Wait for Ben Green behind. Over the line comes Ben Green, and he stays in 2nd position. No improvement, gets bumped down to 3rd position because, oh, we've got a new pole man by 3.5 tenths of a second. Jaden Ojeda, the Mercedes out of absolutely nowhere, has got pole position. What an incredible session. Absolutely no knowledge of where to look there. So many cars improving. Changes every second, and Ojeda has found 3.5 tenths over everybody else. I'm almost speechless. This guy last weekend in contention for the win at the Bathurst 1000 for about 6.5 hours. In the end, having to retire. Absolute heartbreak. But was strong in our session earlier on. Said to me in the pit lane a bit earlier that it'll take time for the Mercedes to get up to temperature. He won't be starring at the top of the show because the Porsches are better and the Ferraris are better. But once the car is working, then it's a great car. And if he can lead from the front, then it'll be tough for people to overtake him. And Ojeda, who has Tao Chi's interests at heart because it's Tao Chi that can still win the championship, even if he's a long way back in points. I thought that was going to be a pole for Boccolacci for so long. Boccolacci only 0.04 of a second faster than Ben Green, who was 0.02 of a second faster than Patrick Pilet. And then Nico Menzel Yafei, all so tight to each other, but Jaden Ajeda goes 3.5 tenths faster. Wow. Wow, 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 and wow again. I do feel slightly sorry for Amy, who, as a pit reporter, would have been lining herself up to do the interview with the fastest car and would have had to move different garages in the last 5 seconds of that session. Absolutely mental. There's Bastien Bus, teammate to Lu Wei, second in the championship, but we saw them come into the pits and check the rear right corner, didn't we? They looked at it and obviously thought it was okay, sent him back out, and unfortunately it wasn't. So he's done the right thing there. Rather than pushing and having a failure and a big shunt, he's parked it, but has meant that he wasn't able to improve at the end of the session. A bit of a star of the show is Ben Green this year. In the end, it doesn't look great. In the end, it looks like he's nearly half a second back off the pole. But I don't know how Jaden Ajeda has done that. Yes, he's got pole, but the question is, how has he managed to go 3.5 tenths faster when everything was so tight throughout the whole session? Some work to do then. It was a good qualifying session, if I remember correctly, in qualifying 1 for Lu Wei, so all is not lost there. But if they are still in contention in race 2 tomorrow afternoon, then they will have some work to do. Here's Jaden. GT World Challenge Australia driver, GT World Challenge Asia driver, V8 Supercars endurance driver, and apparently an absolute master around the streets of Beijing.
Show the camera on this. Tell him to show the camera.
So okay, what's he pointing out? He's pointing out something on the rear corner. He's touched a barrier somewhere. It was that fast and it was that close. I reckon that might be the last turn, perhaps. Pole in Am has gone to EBM, Liam Talbot on his debut in the championship. Jaden Ajeda in Pro-Am. Silver Am to Anders Forbach and Lu Kai Lu in silver. In the end, faster than his Win Here Harmony teammate Ye Yafei, the two touring together. And in the silver battle, 5th position plays 12th position for James Yu Kwai. Two unusual cars in 10th and 11th in the Silver Am category. The Championship Challengers down in 5th in category. And again, BMW behind Nissan. What a session. Let's go down to Jaden Ajeda. Where did he find 3.5 tenths extra over everybody else?
Jaden, it's a big wow. You proved that you are the fastest out of all the pro drivers this weekend. Tell us about your lap. It was on the very last one.
Yeah, tricky qualifying session with the tyres and everything being so cold. So just every lap you thought you were at the limit, but then the tyres gave you a little bit more. So it's a lot of fun driving these cars around this circuit, and you know, you're pushing so hard, and it was just such an enjoyable qualifying session. So massive thank you to the Craft Bamboo team for our Mercedes AMG being so speedy, and looking forward to the race tomorrow, or races.
Fantastic work, and good luck in the race.
Thank you. Cheers.
Races, indeed, because there'll be 2 races tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Need to find out if that's the first time ever. The Rover Pole Award for race 2 goes to Jaden Ajeda.
Okay, thank you.
And I reckon there might be some some damage to the rear right corner of that car. Probably bodywork only, but I think he got that close to a barrier.
Okay, ready.
As I said, no stranger to walls. If you've raced around Bathurst, you know that you have to be friendly with walls. And the same applies here. However fast and wide this circuit is in comparison. highlights of the qualifying session around the streets of Beijing. A wide and fast street circuit, brand new to the world of motorsport. And with track temperatures only around 15 degrees, tyre temperatures were tricky. And confidence in the cars had to be built slowly. Every single lap that was put in, more was found by driver being brave and tyre being hotter. It looked for a long time like Dorian Boccolacci was the man to beat in his Porsche, because every single person down the pit lane has said that Porsche should be strong around here. And indeed, between Nico Menzel, Boccolacci and Pile, they shared the top of the timing screens from the majority of the 15-minute session, but then came Ben Green in the Corvette. Maybe had to get out of it on that particular lap through turn 8. Looked a little bit like he was heading towards the wall. And there were a few issues, but he was able to really hustle that car into what seemed to be second position. Nico Menzel touching the wall just ahead of Dorian Boccolacci. It meant that Menzel couldn't challenge on his lap, but Boccolacci would come over the line and get a provisional pole position. But nobody knew there was a Mercedes behind that was going that much better. And Jaden Ajeda found 3.5 tenths of a second to take the pole position in race 2. Mega. Join us for races 1 and 2 tomorrow. The final rounds here on the streets of Beijing. It's going to be mega.